Hi and welcome back to Chef Hacker Kitchen. Today we're going to do pot roast and we're going to hack it in two ways. First, we're going to use some unusual ingredients that'll really give it a good flavor. And secondly, it's kind of a misnomer because we're not going to roast it at all. We're going to cook it entirely on top of the stove. We're going to braise it. But don't worry, thanks to the ingredients and some good searing up front, you're going to get all of that delicious pot roast flavor you're used to. Let's get started. We're going to start with a bottom round roast. This one is about 2 pounds and 10 ounces. We have 6 cups of beef broth or beef stock. You can either make it or buy it. We're going to have about 1.5 cups of sliced onions. We're going to have celery and carrot. These are cut into about 3-inch pieces. The exact quantity is not important. If you like more vegetables, add more. If you like fewer, add fewer, but don't omit them because the carrots will add some sweetness and the celery will add some depth of flavor. We're going to have about 1 tablespoon of butter, about 4 tablespoons of flour. We have 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's our first hack. We have 2 tablespoons of tomato ketchup. That's our second hack. We have salt and pepper, and we're going to have 2 bay leaves, and that's all it takes. All right, so we're going to start by searing this roast. So let me get this pot warmed up. Going to put some salt and pepper on the roast. All right. Now there's quite a significant fat cap on this roast. So we're going to start without any oil in the pan. And we'll just we'll render some of that fat, and then we'll use that to continue on browning it. All right, so we're about warmed up here. Let's go ahead and put this in. Okay. All right, so this has pretty nicely been browned on all sides. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we're going to set that aside. Lower the flame. Going to add our butter and our onions. And we're going to use the liquid from the onions. Go ahead and deglaze the pan. All of these little burn bits are going to be what gives us our flavor later on. Okay. I'm going to use a bit of water to finish the job. You could also use wine if you so desire. And then I'm going to attempt to evaporate all of the water. You can see that all the little brown bits, what professionals call funk, have been liberated from the bottom of the pan. And now they're going to be free to become part of our flavorful gravy. So I'm ready to add the flour. And essentially what I'm doing here is creating a roux. We have the fat from the meat, the butter, and the flour. And now it's important to make sure that you don't let this burn, but you do want to get a little bit of a brown color to it. And that will ensure we'll get a nice deep color in the resulting gravy. Okay, now we're going to add in our stock. This is beef stock. You can use beef. You could even use chicken, but beef is much preferred because you'll get the flavor you're looking for. I want to make sure that all the flour has been stirred off the bottom. And that feels like I don't have it all, so I'm going to turn the flame up. I'm going to add my 2 hack ingredients, which is the 2 tablespoons of tomato ketchup and soy sauce. Going to return our meat to the pan. We're going to cover this when it comes back to a boil, and we're going to go ahead and set our timer for 2 hours. Okay, an hour's gone by. We've been simmering. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Stirred it occasionally, and now I'm going to flip it over and let it finish cooking on that side. We're going to go with another 45 minutes. Yeah, it's still rather tough. Let's get it back to a simmer. Go to another 45 minutes, add the vegetables, and then we'll finish it up. All right, this has been simmering for the 2nd hour, and that looks pretty good. Now, some people like pot roast that just kind of shreds apart and kind of falls apart when you eat it. I don't. I like pot roast that kind of stays in a slice, and then when I gently move my fork or my knife through it, then it's tender, and when I bite into it, it's tender. So the way I'm making it is going to do that. If you really want it the shredded kind of really soft, then cook it for about another half an hour, and that'll do it. So to test this, what I typically do is I'll take a skewer and I'll put it in, and depending on how easily that skewer comes out, I know how far along we are in cooking. And this one is, after 2 hours, is just about the way I like it. It's going to cook another 15 minutes after I add the vegetables, which I'm doing right now, and the bay leaves. I'll give that a stir. Now this would be a good time to check for the final seasoning to make sure that the salt and pepper is right. So let me go ahead and yeah, perfect. I'm going to turn it up so it returns to a boil. And when it does, I'll lower it and let it cook for another 15 minutes. All right, we've come back to a boil. So I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 15 more minutes. All right, so we've been boiling for 15 minutes. And the vegetables, yeah, it looks like the vegetables are about done. Good, and we already know that the meat is just the way we like it. Let me go ahead and shut this off. Now this, the gravy that came out of this is kind of, just about kind of light. You could add additional cornstarch, flour, or you could reduce it for a little bit longer and thicken it up if you preferred it more thick. But we're going to take this over and slice it and then serve it. All right. So there is our pot roast. Let's slice it up. Now when you slice this, it's important to kind of cut it against the grain, and then you'll have nice tender Nice tender cuts. And you can get a view here of how I like my pot roast, not falling apart. The slices hold up, although once you put your knife and fork through them, they go ahead and become much more tender. And that's really how I like it. All right. Let's see how we're going to plate this out. I'm going to take some carrots and celery. We have some mashed potatoes, some peas. We'll put a slice of beef on there. And some of the luscious gravy. Some on the mashed potatoes. So there you have it. That's pot roast cooked on the stove. Give this one a try. I'm sure you'll love it. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It really helps us to make additional videos. See you next time in Chef Hacker Kitchen.